And every session gets recorded as well, so you can refer it later on sometimes. So yesterday we did few things, remember? I mean, were there any problems with the things which we did yesterday? Utsav, how about you? No problems, right? Sure, okay. Let's move further. Now, yesterday we learned how to assign a single value to multiple variables. I guess you have to code with us, right? So if you say x equals to y equals z equals 10, all of these variables will give the value 10. If you want to assign multiple values to multiple variables, you can say a comma b comma c equals to 10, 20, third value. What is happening here? A is taking the value 10, B is taking 20, and C will take third value respectively. Third value is, I mean, anything. You can even provide a string, right? Cool. So they will take their corresponding respective values.
What will it give? If A comes, B comes, C equals to only one value.
It will give an error. It will say I cannot unpack the things. Right. Now, how do you input and output few things? So, although you know few things, but let's learn few more methods of doing that, which you will find in the packages on the codes written. Right. Taking input is pretty simple. The same way. How about printing something? So there are multiple ways. Let's say I have taken the input name and age. Correct? I want to print them. So one way is I'll say print my name is comma name comma and age is comma age. This comma will be interpreted as a single space. Okay? Right? Or else you can also use plus operator. You can also use plus operator. Plus, what this will do, this will concatenate two strings. So first string is my name is, and it will add the second string which is name. Then it will add my ages and then add the age. But if you don't convert it to a str, right, it will be a problem. Why? Because it cannot concatenate a string to an integer. It cannot add a string to an integer. So this way age will be converted and show. Can you try this much quickly? Then we'll learn few more ways how to print on the console. So what you can do, Nayaj? This was actually not correct how we printed. This is the wrong way. Maybe we'll talk about this after the class. Right? But you can do this. You can please save this up in this file. Right, this is saved already, no? Yes. So then you can open up in this file. How does it go back? Remain. Okay, so you can just open a new file. You can say new file, save it as .py. Right. We don't have permissions. Okay, I'll write in the launch folder. Okay, let's go there. Run your programs and go to run. Give me one. Right, you can close the audio. Right. And try it.
But don't you have any smart editors for this?
Editors, you have a lot of them. The best one is called PyCharm.
PyCharm.
Yeah, that's yeah, it's same as IntelliJ, but mainly for Python. Then you have Sublime you can use, else there's something called Spider. Spider you can use.
What is the advantage of using all these things and using this?
Which one?
The one which you are showing.
This is okay. The idle. This idle is one which is made using Python itself. Python's TK Intel UI toolkit. So you can use that. That comes with the Python bundle. If you want to use something else, then you have to download and run it.
Download and run from command prompt.
Run from command prompt. The other things like IntelliJ or PyCharm, they allow you to connect to the interpreter. So you can just press play and
Python is better.
PyCharm is very good, but I think it comes only for 30 days.
Oh, it's a paid one.
Paid. Yeah.
Starting from input Python or
It started from here. You have tried this? Okay. Now, you can try this out. Now there's one more way, which is C-style way. This is C-style. Remember in C we say like percentage %s, percentage %d, percentage %f inside printf. Similarly, you can use that way. So what you can say, you can give a string, you can allocate the placeholders like this, percentage %s, I'll print a string, I'll print a digit, and at the end you can provide all the values from the placeholders. Correct? The percentage and then provide all the values inside a tuple.
What is this?
If you want to print something on a console using C style, then you can use this way. What you can do inside your main string, you can give placeholders for your string, for your digits, and provide all the values at the last. Earlier over here we had to put them inside the string. This is how C used to work. Printf used to give percentage as percentage D. Now you can try printing now. Yeah, now you've taken the input from the user, and if you want to print on the console,
That bracket is required, right? That name and age.
which one?
Name after the percentage, name, comma, age is there, right? That
Yeah.
bracket is required.
Yes.
And that percentage is confirmed, no, not other.
This particular thing, this percentage,
Yes.
yes, you have to put it. This will tell that now I am passing my arguments,
Yes.
just map it respectively, consecutively, according to all the placeholders.
In C, we will use comma.
Yes. And, right? What is the other way around? Now these are one ways. Now Python has some other ways actually. These are the general ones. Python uses dot format. What are we doing here? We'll say my name is empty placeholder and my age is empty placeholder dot format. You will see a lot of codes using this, right? Because this is much more better. Dot format and name and age. What this will do, it will take in all the empty placeholders and replace them with the first argument and the next argument. This gets replaced by name, this gets replaced by age. You will find this more often. Python way.
it's not coming from me. So when I click enter,
Because string what turns a mistake. Why have we used this? Double. We started with a double, right? We have to end with it. Now we can just go back. Try it out.
below C.
Yeah,
C style.
C style and Python way.
How to clear this Python shell?
How to
Clear.
create, clear the Python shell. There's no clear thing over here. So maybe you can just go back, press enter multiple times, it will clear it out. Or else you can just close it, and when you run it, it will again start a new shell. You can just close the shell, and when you press F5, it will start in a new shell.
But in Linux machines,
You have some control L.
control is
Yeah. Right. Now, there's one more way where we give the positions to our placeholders. We are saying I like placeholder 0 and placeholder 1, and I'll provide the values later on. Bread and butter. In the second case, I want to say although my values remain in the same order, but I want to print in different order. I can say I like first value and second, right? The first placeholder and the second placeholder. So what this will print, I like bread and butter, and what will the second one will print? I like butter and bread. Correct? This is also one way. Now why this way is better?
you can use only a minimum amount of only one variable you can in dot format. In printf statement, if you want to print the same variable two times.
Exactly right. That's very right. Very nice. Let's say after this, again I wanted this bread to be printed, right? Uh, or I wanted to use the butter. I'll say, but Amul butter is very is not very good, right? Let's say, okay, although it's very good. Now, I don't have to pass this value again, right? So you'll find a lot of codes using this dot format because you can pass your arguments once and use them multiple times in your string, right? Now there's one more way. You can say I like placeholder item 1 and item 2 dot format. I'll give the values for this is key value pair kind of thing. I'll say value 1 is bread, item 2 is butter. Over here the order does not matter. The positions are not over here. You had a position, right? When you say bread and butter, but bread gets first position, sorry, 0th position, butter gets position 1. But you why to deal with the positions? You can do something key value pair kind of thing, right? This is the end for printing. Can you copy this out and try it? Now once you do this, you have to run this, right? It will print in different ways.
Zero.
Yeah, it's 0. Index, right? I just told you for an array.
Yeah.
The indexing starts from 0. This becomes a tuple, kind of an array, immutable array, which you cannot change. So did you go through the things I mentioned yesterday, like Elasticsearch and Django? What's up? Okay, sure, I'll just go.
Network index coming in.
That's okay. But you right? See, better also starts with single quotes. If you're using single quotes, use single quotes. If you're using double quotes, use double quotes. Right? You can print this by going to run and F5. Yes. Because you have to do not prefer the time based to time waiting in this thing. Of course, I'm going to this development practices. This round here for this round, right? So did you go through some of the links? Maybe Django, Elasticsearch.
Went through Django, still haven't got Elasticsearch.
Okay. What about you? You did not go through. How about you? No. Okay. Maybe now you have some time on the weekdays, right? You can go through. It's always good to know what you are going to learn, and if it is useful for that and for you, and it will be definitely useful because we know what's happening and I've showed you every company is using for so many purposes. So, but it's very good to know if you research something that what you're going to learn. Right? And then you can know, right, what are the other things corresponding or similar to these. Have you heard about solar? SOLR?
Just heard about
Heard about that? So solar is also data store for like which saves JSON. Elasticsearch is much. Elasticsearch came after Solar. Solar came way back. Solar is currently the number one. But if you look at the time after which Elasticsearch came in, Elasticsearch is much more popular and it will overtake Solar. Right now, a lot of companies were using Solar in addition to Elasticsearch. It's a data store. If you talk about a relational database, it's not gonna be useful for distributed computing. True? Right? So, yeah. I think you have not, when you say I like 0 and 1, after that you should put a double quote. Yeah, over here. Shall we move?
So Elasticsearch is like a database for instance.
It's a data store. You can say it's not actually a database exactly because database has a lot of capabilities which are relevant to databases, right? But mainly you use it when you have big data kind of problems, right? You can also plug in your Elasticsearch with Hadoop. It's a file system based database, you can say. It saves JSON. JSON, you know?
It's like graph database, is it?
Hmm?
It's like a graph database.
Not exactly with graph, but there are plugins which can use it as a graph. It's a basic thing, and then you use it for different things for distributed computing, for big data. While you plug in with Hadoop, each plugin with graph-based data systems, so that you can act as a graph-based data structure. It allows everything. So there are some tools which are built over Elasticsearch, and we are also trying to build such a tool as a live project. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. 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 Here's the invalid syntax. There's no space, I think. Yeah, should not work. Show space. Right. Let's move. Now you would have seen whenever you print little bit of intrinsic details, but these are very less. We'll just move to concepts very quickly. When you print something, it goes to the next line always. Correct? So in the print, when you're printing multiple things, after that it goes to the end. By default, your end is defined as /n. That's why it goes to the next line. Okay? So you can give it as end something else. Maybe you can give it as ampersand or just a space, so it will not go to the next line. We can also define separators. So how this works is, let's say, if I print something, what is happening here? Remember I told you comma acts as a separator, but it gives you a space. I have changed that property. I am saying use separator as hash. So comma is replaced with hash. Earlier it was a space. Similarly, it is also not going to the next line, see, because now we have defined end as a space. You can define end as a ampersand, let's say, and run this, right? So it will not go. If you define a slash n by default, which is defined, it goes to the next line as well. Cool. Now, you would like to typecast sometimes a lot of things, right? If you have, when you are taking input as age, it is always coming as a string. I told you, remember, yesterday, it's coming as a string. You need to typecast it. So if you have a string which has some number, you can say int of that string, or you can also say float of that string if it's a float number, and convert it. Now, there's also something called eval. Okay, tell me, if I try to say something a equals to 2 plus 3 and print a, what will it print?
2 plus 3.
2 plus 3, right? Because it's taking it as a string. Anything within single quotes and double quotes is a string. You want to evaluate a string, maybe, right? Then you can use something eval. This eval is also in JavaScript, right, Uncle? You can say eval. Now it will say that I have a string. Even then I have to evaluate and come to a mathematical value, right? So this also you can use sometimes, right? On the JavaScript side, it's not recommended to use eval, right?
No, we use in jQuery.
You use it in jQuery. Okay. But generally, you can execute some scripts also using this, right? So that is maybe a security loophole also if you use it much more. Okay. So it can evaluate. Shall we move?
Anything else we have to evaluate any other functions we have apart from UI?
And by then, I don't think so. What about in JavaScript now?
JavaScript, so you can have other ways you can evaluate it.
Okay, this is something which is inbuilt. Maybe after, if you import few modules, it will allow a lot of things. We can
Try something like backwards also we can use. Some programs it's backwards.
Backwards, yeah. In shell programming it works, right?
Shell.
Shell. If you use backwards, it will evaluate as an expression, right? What happened? It is okay. Are you using spaces and tabs independently?
Yeah.
Huh? No, you don't have to. That's why it's giving an error. If you, although one tab means 4 spaces or 8 spaces, if you use tabs and spaces intermediately or mix them, it will treat them as separate and will raise errors. You can just modify this later on. Otherwise, this should work. Everything is correct. So you can create a new file.
And you fell like it.
You can save it with 3.2. Correct. Natural.
One more thing, just go up.
Yeah.
That separator and then use some star object also. What is that?
Over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just giving it instead
No,
of.
no, no. Just go
Okay.
first on the statement.
This is okay. I'll tell you. Actually, this is something called star args. You can pass multiple values to a function. See, when you call, what is a sprint actually? It's a function
Yes.
because it has round braces. Very true. Now, what do you mean by star args? When I say print 1, 2, 3, 4, correct?
Okay.
It's able to take all of these values. So star args is something which can take multiple arguments,
Okay.
right? If you want to know this, I can give a small example because it's since asked, although we cover this later on. We can just say define my function. This is how you define a function in Python. Okay. So generally, just see here, let's say I want to add three numbers, correct? How will I say that? Func of 2, 3, 4. This is my result and I'll print my R, correct? In this, I have to receive all of them.
Yes.
There's no type, so I can receive it like ABC, correct? And return the sum of A plus B plus C, correct? This is how it should work.
Yes.
Now, over there, just think in this sprint, if you pass a million things, or let's say 100 things, you will again have to receive all of them over here. If you pass 100 things, you have to receive 100 things. That's true. Instead of that, I have just passed once. Why don't I capture all of them and do something called anything you say, maybe arg or args, or whatever you say, right? Or I can say values. So star values gets all these ABC, whatever I have passed, 2, 3 and 4, and I can say S is equal to 0, and for X in my values, S plus is equal to X, and I'll return my S. So basically what I have done is star values is used to receive multiple values from a function when you pass it and you run it. Get it? So similarly, over here, this was a syntax which says that inside print, one way, how can I say that I want to pass these many values, right? Because I could have passed something. So star objects receives all the values whatever you passed to it. Cool? And these are default variables. If you pass something, then they will take. If you don't pass something, they will use the default values which are assigned over here.
You have 5 variables systems.
Sorry?
What is 5?
Monitor.
If you want to write it to a file directly from a print. Hello? Hello? Hey, Jagishan, I'm in a class right now. Yeah. Maybe afterwards, can I call you? Yeah, actually, I'm going to class, right? I mean, is it some UI issue? Then, Python? Okay. Okay, sure. Cool, is it
Yeah.
understood to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you are using that command line arguments, then which word variable it will store?
Star RP.
RB. Okay.
Star RP. So it will take all the
Capital RB
variables,
or smaller RB?
small. It will take everything and put inside RP. Right? We'll do that. Let's follow what we have right now. Okay? Oh, this is clear to you. You can pass multiple values. Yeah.
You asked. I was just asking where are you initializing that star option?
Over here,
Uh,
right?
Yeah.
Star objects.
yeah.
So I'm not initializing the star or anything starting with star can take multiple values. right? So I don't have to initialize. When I call this function print, internally it will override the definition of print and provide these values to the star objects.
Is it an array? Is it make an array?
It makes a tuple. Tuple is again an array, but it's an immutable array. You cannot change anything. Okay? We'll learn this later on, right?
I think this concept is not in other programming. In JavaScript also we have the same concept, but I think in Java now we don't have it. Because because what happens like it removes the constraint of fixed arguments. You can make million arguments.
Yeah, I mean the problem is you're passing also 100 arguments and then you're receiving. This is so tiresome. The code looks so bad, right? If you're passing, then okay, receive them we can do, right? In a single variable we can receive. Cool. Now, I mean, I'll just tell you a few little things about modules, but this comes in as part of a little advanced Python. I mean, anytime you have a module or package you want to import, you can just say import math, and it has a couple of things. You can say math.py, so pi value, which is 3.14 something, right? There are multiple ways of importing. You can say import math, and all the functions inside or all the variables inside you can use like math.py, correct? Another way is you say from math import pi. Now this pi comes directly inside your current namespace for your program, and anytime you print pi it will show you 3.14. These are two ways of importing something from the Python. We will learn much more how to package them, but later on, right? Just
And this happen with combating or something.
what thing?
That import math.
It's an interpreted language. As soon as you type something, it gets
Actually, Perl is also a different language.
Which one?
Perl.
Yeah.
There is two usage. One is use and one is require.
One is
Require.
required. Whenever you need it, you will import. Now, when you do this, it imports right away. It's imported directly. You can also say import star. So whatever is inside math, I want to import. Correct? So, right? Okay. Let's come to Python operators. It's absolutely similar, but there are few special operators. Some of the operators like plus, minus, star, division is same, no doubt. Okay, what happens if you divide something? Let's go to the shell and try out few things. If I say 5 divided by 2, what will your C compiler give you as output? 2, right? But that's not the correct answer. But why it does so?
Because it's both are
Integer. It says I'm gonna do an integer division right now, right? But Python, I told you, right? It's more closer to the programmer. It thinks in the same way like a programmer thinks. So I'll say 5 divided by 2 and it should give me 2.5. But if you're keen on doing integer division, you can say 5 divided by 2 and it will give you 2, right? But generally we are expecting 2.5. I don't know why no one expects 5 divided by 2 to be 2 in C. It's not useful. True. Is it useful in any ways?
Yeah.
Okay. Like?
Just like if you want to some algorithms, Python algorithm, just
Right.
like
So you want to having
sometimes if you
fixed
want-
indexes, right?
Yeah, searching kind of algorithm. You don't want to search up to that number.
Right.
Maybe it is divided by 2. Like,
That's correct. That's correct. You need that in those cases, but generally when you are doing mathematical, scientific calculation, you might not. It would become a problematic, right? You need to convert it, cast it to a float value and then do the division, right? So we prefer this way. Okay. So we have an extra. Double star is to find powers, right? Nagraj, if you say 2 double star 5, if you say single star 5, it's multiplication, sure, but double star 5 becomes your power. right? Okay. What else? Relational operators all same. Boolean operators, right? So you give X as true and Y as false. So capital T and capital F in this. You can check them, right? Now, what are the logical operators over here? And, or not, right? You can say X and Y. So this will give you, since the first condition is a true, the second is false, it will give you a false. Second case, it will give you a false. And in this case, you're doing a not of X. X is true, so it will give you a false. Some of the things, all these things will be covered in the assignments, right?
What about EXO? EXO?
XOR, they're available over here, right? In the bitwise operators, right? So, and, or, then this is bitwise or, the negation, right? All of these things are covered. Then assignment operators. Now we have some important special operators which are very useful, right? I think I told you a little bit. Is and is not. Remember? We said if we have A equals to 5 and B equals to 5, I can check if A is B and it should give me. Right? I can also check not for. A is not B. False, no. Why? A is not B, I'm saying no, that's false. A is B actually, right? So you can compare two things, you can compare strings this way, correct? Similarly, now the more important ones are membership operators, in and not in, right? Let's say I have a text, guys, which has something like, uh, what can you say? Nagaraj was learning Python school, and you want to check if Nagaraj is present in the string or not, right? What can you say? In other programming languages, you have to use functions. Normally in C, C++ or Java, you have to import few things and then do it, right? Over here, this is very readable. You can just say if Nagaraj in text, then you can say int present else correct. So this becomes very readable because this is what I was checking, correct. You have tried this out before, the in operator. Okay. Similarly, this also works across arrays. 1, 2, 4, 5, and you can also check if a value, if 2 is or 3 is in this array, then you can print the things like this. Correct? So we are checking, we are doing membership checking. If a value is occurring in my text or if it's occurring in my array. Correct? Okay, let's move further. Now, let's come to a little more about how do you handle strings. How do you use strings? This you have to code. Now we are going to do string manipulation. One thing in Python is every string is immutable. What does that mean? You cannot change anything inside a string. Once you have initialized the string, you cannot change. You cannot delete or change a letter like in C, right? If you want to change, maybe in the str you want to change this R to capital R, you can do. C++ also allows, Python doesn't allow. No changes, immutable string. If you want to do, then you have to use replace function, right? Now on your string, again it is indexed from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can print your string. If you multiply it with a digit, it will print it that number of times, correct? If you want to access the individual elements, then also you can access, right? Can you try this out? Few things which are mentioned here. How do you access a list, a string? You have a positive indexing from left and a negative indexing from the right, right also? You have a negative indexing in strings as well from the right. So my S is at -1, Y is at -2, -3. Okay. Please try this out, then I'll give you a small question to do.
So STR alpha in this space time.
You can give, doesn't give, it's okay. Doesn't matter. When you have to print, yeah. This will print the whole string. Now let's say you want to print slice through. You want to print the first character, you can just use 0. -1 to print the last character. What happened, Niru? Now let's say you want to reverse this string. How will you reverse and print?
It's not showing you that.
Hmm?
But no, it shows. STR started, it showed. After that, it's STR of 0, STR of -1. Then the result is not showing you.
You have to say print of that.
Yeah. Output.
Actually, this is from the shell.
Shell.
On the shell, you type something, it will spit it out the output. On the file, you have to say print of this. That is a print of that, and don't go from there. Start from the same index. Indentation is a problem. Over here, you have to start from the same indentation always. This is different ways.
Specifically, this is focus or like
Not always, but you're using native indexing, right? In that case, what you use.
so maybe the person and the person is
Yeah. Skip it.
only negative attributes.
Um,
What if you do not position it? Good. If you don't like this one, what will happen? Which line? This one. Nothing done. This is comment, right? This is for only readability. For actually, actually, if you nothing is the this is for what you looking is. So the you are is slightly different. If nothing is there also, is automatically it will store an array. The first value is 0. So P will be there. So just like that. C you know right? C the same way it will work. In C what we do string of bracket equal to bracket of each letter with the close. We should keep 1 second. That way. Actually, Python code is more easier to manipulate studies. For our automation work, say we should have the this is the easiest way, right? If you want to write the same code in C, it will be very tedious. So that way this kind of language are made. C used only for system levels, connecting the kernels, hardware. Only for that we are using C. These are the only automation work, like development or we don't need to write hardware. So we can use this kind of we can the same way we can implement in C also. But it is directly talking with hardware, it will be the problem. But here we don't have any problem.
So my brother suggested is
Yeah,
he's a work team on the you should build an NDC, let's say.
okay. It's good. If you strong in Python, if you are a fresher, surely you will get good.
They said there is less operation, like
Join a small company, from there you will just join. If you look bigger company, then you will look for your academic support, your college and everything for it. Small company, no, they won't get freshers knowing by them. Very few. Hey, I have 85%. 85. I was in the end.
Minus 3 minus 1.
It is right?
Print the choice was just minus 1 minus 3.
So why it's not able to print -1 to -3? Because -1 is we're giving it a starting index. So it will start. Right? Now you have to go to ending index. What are you saying? -3. Minus 3 is something which is over here. And you always access this.
Only complete, only
You always go from left to right. Although there is a way provided, but that can also go from like this, not like this. Right? So what happens if you give in the positive index? If you give something like 5 colon 0, 5 colon 0, you won't do right? It's probably for it. So that's why.
But for me, string 0 is not printing.
It should. Okay, let's quickly move. How do you concatenate two strings? You can just say A plus and a space plus B, right? This will do. Are you able to send this? No, but this thing you have not print. We have to say print on this. This was for over here. Okay, anyways.
one thing you asked for reversing.
Yeah, I'll just tell you. I mean, I'll give a question also with that. Now, immutable strings, but can be reassigned. So what happens here, if you see, remember yesterday we talked a lot about memory management in Python. When we say A equals to this and B equals to, both of them are pointing to the same memory, right? Or else you can reassign something. A equals to 5, then you give A equals to 0. It's just a object reference, memory reference, which can be pointed to anywhere. What happens here, when I say generates, okay, if I say str of 4 equals to capital C, it will raise an error for me. Why? Because strings are immutable. Okay. If you say delete some specific character from a string, it will say I cannot. It's bound together. Okay. But you can delete the whole string. Right. One way is if you want to, let's say, still change this. I have a string. Let's say Python is cool or bad. I want to receive change bad to cool. I cannot, right? Because it doesn't allow any changes. What I can say is str, maybe I can say a equals to str dot replace. What you have to replace is replace bad with cool and print a. And now let's print str also. Does it change anything in the str? Let's see. So if you see here, when you print A, it has become Python is cool, but str is still the same. str is still the same. Why? Because str cannot be changed. You cannot change anything in str. Okay. But still I want to change in str. You cannot change it this way, but you can read the route, right? What you can do is, I'll give it str equals to str dot replace. What will happen in this case? I have reassigned it to the new memory where I have saved Python is cool and str is pointing to that. Do you get this? I have this bad, right, where my str is pointing. In this process, when I say replace, it doesn't change in this memory address. It will create a new memory. It will write the whole thing. Python is cool, right? And it will delete this link and point str to the new memory location. So this we can do. Cool. Can you try this up?
Yes.
Okay. No. You have to say print on that, not equal to. You can say something like this. Like this. Can you change it?
Yeah, like you said, we can replace a word, right? But
Yes.
can we replace a single letter in that?
Yeah, why not? Again replace something. So it has become cool, right? But you can see C is still small, right? So I'll replace it with capital C. Try this out.
That means instead of some P is that you're writing starting Python P, you can replace P with any other letter, any other alphabet.
Yeah, why not? P with Python. Why not? Actually, you are saving it at a new memory location. That is the main thing. You're not changing anything on the same memory. But when you say something like this, right? When you say str of 0, which was earlier P, and you try to save it, put it as Z. This tries to manipulate at that particular memory location, which is not allowed.
And one more thing,
Yes.
if you have Pythonese bad, and you are replacing bad with cool,
Right.
both bad will replace or
Both.
What if you want to change only one bad?
Let's check once. Right. If you want to only change the first one, then there are more functions like find, right? You can find the first particular location and then you can say that just change at that particular position. We'll do that, right? Once you know
I think regular expression supports, Python supports, right?
what?
Regular
Yeah, it does.
That way it will take fully count, right? If you substitute.
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, I just want to substitute the first one.
Yeah, if you do the substitute, it will place only first one. If you want globally, then
Yes, you can say a G. So,
there is some.
right. So there's a module called RE for regex,
Regular.
regular expressions.
In arrays, we will assign from 0, right, the value. Can we assign it from the negative values like -2, -1, 0 like that? Can we assign? By using some functions.
You can assign, but in string not in string. On arrays you can, right? We've tried this out. Shall we change? What happened? The school is a symbol, right? Okay. Now how do you iterate through a string? How do you iterate through a string? I want to print the individual things. So let me tell a general iteration way. There are three types of iteration which you can do. I'll tell it works for strings as well as your list. So let me just talk it over here for list as well. Let's say I have an array. I'm just introducing something new, but let it be, right? Let's say I have some things like Naroop and Kayav, Self, Ankit, and Sanu, right? Sanu. I want to print all of them. I want to access these fields. There are three ways of doing it, right? First way, let's go C style. How do you write in C? A for loop. Huh?
Initialization, condition.
Initialization, condition, increment. If your initialization goes wrong, you are in a bad state. Errors. If that condition less than the length goes bad, it's a problem. True, it will go into an infinite loop. If you forget to update your counter, it will go into an infinite loop. C is full of errors. Every stage it is introducing chances of errors. Is it true? Okay, but still, let's try the C style way. You'll say for my index in, even while writing the C style, right, it will save you from few things, from introducing errors. You can say range comma length of ARR. So what is happening here? First thing, or you don't even need to give 0. What will index take? It will take values from 0 up till the length. What is the length? 5. It will take values from 0 to 4. Right? I can show you. So this is how, if you go here on the shell, what does range return you? You can just say range of 5. You have to do a list if you are working on 3.5. This is the optimization. We'll learn why. Right? So if I say range of 5, it gives me the value 0 to 5. I can specify my starting index also. So I can say 2, 5. So this will give me 2, 3 and 4. Correct? Similarly, let's say I want all the even numbers. I'll say go up till within 0 to 10, give me all the even numbers. This gives me all the numbers, correct? But I want the even starting from 0, take a jump of 2, 2. Right? So range, you know right now how it works. I'm using the same thing in C style for loops. And I'll print index, index, and my value is my error. This is how you write the C style for loop in Python. Even the C style is much more error-less, right? Why? You're not initializing, you could be wrong in that. You're not comparing now, it's doing the comparison. You're not incrementing something, it's doing the increment, right? True? The only thing you're doing is this index. There might be some programmers like me which might say something like index minus 500. I don't know why, right? So we can also save even this thing. So there's one more way which is called enumerate way. Okay? What you can say is for index comma value in enumerate of my ARR. Index comma value in my enumerate of ARR. Then the value. This is even better. Why? You're not worrying about the lengths. You're not worrying about the indexes that I have to use subscript ARR of index. Was even better. Much more less error prone. Correct? Simpler as well. Okay.
What's the data type of value in that?
Data type.
Oh, value. The keyword value. What's the data type of it? Index
What
will be integer.
index will be integer. Values it will take from your arrays.
So otherwise basically a string.
Right now it's a string. You can give it something like a digit also. It will take 1, 2, 3 as well. Doesn't matter. Right? If you run this, right? So just try running it. Right? This is one way. So you will find all these kinds of, because when you read the code or maybe you have to add a module, you will find code in different ways written. Now there is one more even better way, which is called the iterative way. Have you tried the above one? Huh? What's the have you tried? How about, no problems. Knowledge, it's working, cool, right? Start from here, initial index. But I mean, don't give spaces, no spaces.
Yeah, when I done, I click on.
Okay. But no, don't, you have to start from the starting, it will raise an error.
Okay.
Over here in Python, you don't have curly braces, so it's an indentation which has to be maintained. This will raise error. It should not work actually. You should remove those spaces. Okay, within for it's okay. Put this for I'm saying. This for. Go back. Yeah, that's it. Right. What's the iterative way? It's even more better. For This value val is nothing. You can give it any name. For val n ARR, I'll just print my even better way, very small. You don't have to worry about your indexes. Correct? Even the C style is much more better than the how you write in C. It's much more less input. Can you get ever any error in this? There's no scope. That's why people think of building apps rather than writing small things or debugging things or maybe worrying about error checking because there's no scope for getting errors or exceptions. Try this out. The same, everything same works for strings as well. That's what the funda. The same, all these three things works for strings.
And one more thing, in iterative way, can we, okay, we have...
Iterative way you cannot access the indexes.
No.
Is that the question?
Yes. Okay. Because if you want to, how many items in a array, item 1 equal to this one, item 2, that way we can do.
No.
For
that you have the enumerate way.
Okay.
Because you have the control of indexes. Right? But mostly we will never think of the indexes, right? So that's why this is better way. If you need the indexes, this is the way. The very strong C programmers, this is the way. Right? We want to use the C style. Shall you move? Niru, you have tried?
Yeah.
All of the three?
Yeah.
This works with strings. Can you also, instead of ARR, giving it as a list, you can give it as a string also. Achha, over here also we can do a lot of things. Within this, for val and ARR, I can provide, let's say I just want to print Gaurav Utsav and Sanu, I can give it start from 1 and go up till, let's say 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will print Ankit, Utsav and Gaurav. I can do something like this. If I want to do alternate, I can give, right? I can use minus also here. So you can mix and match a lot of things. This print has to come. Print is actually this print has to have inside for, right? So you have to put this print inside for. Correct? Oh, try it. Good? Yeah. Okay. Shall you move?
What happens like I want to print, let's say, second letter of every string that we have. So basically I'm asking like if it's a two-dimensional thing, how do you use that iterative?
Yeah, sure. So you can see here, maybe we can also add it as a two-dimensional. So my last element is a array itself, right? When we do some, shall I remove this? Which one you want to? Iterative. Shall I remove this? It becomes much more easier to see. Right? So you have the indexes. Now within every element also you have the indexing starting from 0. So n is 0, I is 1, r is 2. Let's say I want to print the second element for everyone. Right? So I can say val of 2. So Nirup it will print r, Gaurav it will print u, right? Correct? For the last element, which was again a multidimensional array, we are printing the second element, which is 3. Second I mean in terms of indexes. Was this your question also, or something else also you want to know?
Yeah, so let's say, 1 to 3 total size of 3 elements, right?
Yeah.
In the same array.
No, this is not the total size, this is the element.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So say, if we take a comma and then let's add 1
Over here?
up to that. No, up.
Okay.
Start of the Now it should give an error, right?
Now it should give an error because the value cannot be subscripted more, right? It will print for the first, but at the end it will give am an end. I cannot subscribe it. That's true, right? But otherwise you can do everything, right? But did you see? I mean, it's not like, see, if you see, is this a runtime error or a compile time?
This is right here, it's out of the next one.
No, it's a compile time. I mean, how can you subscript a digit? How can you subscript a digit? We are trying to subscript, right? Val of 2,
Yeah.
right? So these kind of checkings happens at your compile time only, right? If you have a float value in C, let's see, int, or let's say something like this. If you try to print, do a printf, right, percentage %t and 2, a of 2. Is it a compile time in C or a runtime?
It's comparative.
It's a compile time. It will say it's a digit, integer. It's a compile time error, correct? But all these errors, you get it at the compile time and none of the code, I mean, even a single line is not executed. The issue was clearly solved. But over here you saw, in our case, it ran for others and then it wasted. Why? Because this is an interpreted language, right? It is doing it line by line.
So when you try to debug Python code, is it always like you run it and then gives error, or can you like in Eclipse we have, it will show the
It's a interpreted language, so until unless it doesn't reach that line, it will never show you the error. Like C language, 10 errors, it will show you all the 10. Just rectify them and good. It will show you only the first error. Right? If it's not a syntactical error. Right? Cool. Okay, shall we move? Now we have some very useful functions which are associated with strings. Yeah, exactly, because that should have come. Good. Now, with a string, you can use your str.capitalize. Now there are two types of functions. Some functions are called object functions, which works on every object. Like we saw, right? Our for loops are working on strings, they're working on list. Our indexes start from 0 for our strings, for our list. Right? So there are some functions which work on every data type. Like, for example, if I say something, a equals to a list 1, 2, 3, and I say length of a 3, or if I say and length of a is 5. So this is working on strings as well as your list arrays. These are the functions which work on all the objects generally. But we have some functions over here, capitalize, count, they only work on specific data types. They are not called in the way we have called these functions. How are we calling? We are passing the variables a to these functions. But these variables like capitalize, so if I say, I can't say capitalize and pass a, I have to call it like a dot capitalize. This will capitalize the first letter. And a does not change, that is for sure. Why? Because every string is a immutable. So what you could have done if you wanted to change it in a, you could have said, right, now it becomes itself. So all these functions are specific to a string. Now, what is count? Count is to count a particular substring which is occurring in a string. Then there is something called starts with, ends with. right? You can check if a string is starting with this particular thing or ending with a particular character or a string value. Can we try a few of them, right? Similarly, you can get the find and index. Find returns you the index value of whatever you are searching inside a text. Right, Namrata? Now, let's try a few of them. Let's say I have string as python at Zenrays Python class. Can you try a few of them? Capitalize will capitalize the first letter. Count will give you the number of times it is occurring. So if you don't pass 0 and 10, it will give you 2. But I am giving it the starting index and the ending index, so it should give me 1. You do a lot of data manipulation over strings when you work in Python because it's very easier to work with a lot of data. Let's try this. We'll finish strings today. हेलो हाँ निकल दो 15-20 मिनट खत्म हो जाएगी क्लास तो निकल दो क्यों ठीक है जल्दी फौरन राइट गुड Now tell me the output for find. When you search for Python, when you search find for Python, you can do in the same file you are working, right? It will be showing all the output again and again. You can comment it out. This much gets commented. So now only this thing will run. If I want to find out the second Python, how will I do that also?
Capital B.
No, this. So when you do str.python, right, this returns you the index,
Yes.
right? So for the first time it will returning you 0, correct?
Because we capitalized all.
Okay, yeah, oh yeah, but later on, okay, let's say if it is not, right? Yeah, we have capitalized. If this wasn't there, then it would be returning us 0, correct? If I want to find out the second occurrence, So anytime, again if you do this right, again r dot find, it will give you always first one only. So what you can do, you can specify starting and ending index. So you can give a something like, you can give the previous value, previous was the index, right? Just add the length of Python. So it will start from after Python. Or you can also give it like r plus 1. Both will work, right?
Yes.
You just want to skip this p so that you don't again find this particular thing. You can give it the length of Python is better, else give it just plus 1 so that it will skip this particular Python index and start again searching. Niru?
That's it.
Okay.
And if it is not found, it will return -1.
It will return -1. That's true. Right? Okay.
You can also try R plus 1, right?
Yeah, r plus 1 because it will skip that p. Python will be found later on. Now I have a string called Python at Zenrays 1234. Very basic question, but good for us if we can do this. Right? We can use these functions to find out the number of alphabets, numbers, digits, right? Lower alphabets and upper alphabets, and the number of spaces. Can we use these to find the number of alphabets and all these things in our Python string? Find the number of digits, alphabet spaces, lower characters and upper characters. Just 2-3 minutes. Is now can you do this? You run this? Yeah. So you have to remove this one to come into the order. Just remove this one because it was ending your comment sharing. Now it will end here. Keep saving them. Are you saving? Yeah. And now we can try this. If I have a string and I want you to find the number of alphabet digits and space in lower characters, then we'll do few more questions.
What is the question?
Find the alphabets with spaces, lower characters, upper characters in the string str. I have given all of them as 0 right now. Right? I can just iterate through them using iterator array and check using the function if, alpha, if, all these functions, right? Yeah, something like this you can do. If you're done, then let me know, I'll give you a question. Okay, thank you.
What he says, six stands for
Sorry?
yes, yes.
S.
Alphabet digit S is
S is for space.
space.
S space, right? Are you done? The space will start from here. Again, see? The indentation has to maintain, it will never run otherwise, right? We are checking this inside its alphabet, then we are checking it's a lower or else. If it's not an alphabet, then it could be a digit or else it could be a space. So the indentation has to maintain. If you even put an extra space, it will not run. Because you don't use curly braces like other languages here. Are you done? That's it, right? So now I have a question for you. How will you do this? You know how to create strings, you know how to slice them up, you know a lot of stuff now. Correct? I want you to transform this. This is working. This is first the same line. If you make any mistake, it will be no, we have to get some more lower efforts. Very simplistic thing. How will you do this? We'll come back after this. We are done. I'm giving it 2 minutes. Try this out. There
Can I
will
use two
be, there
variables?
will be multiple values, multiple plays. Yeah, use anything. I'm okay. Later on it will be how optimized, but use anything. I'm okay. So it's huh?
With the title we can change the using
What you can change?
we will declare that in cases we'll declare 0, 1, 2 like that.
Okay.
And we can change by 0 to 2 and 2 to 0.
Okay. But how will you change? I mean, there will be a bigger string sometimes, right? That should be reversed totally. You can try this out, whatever you're saying. Just try it out.
So I'm getting there. So let's see.
There's no else here, right? It's if once you're inside, there's no else here. You have to first here, then you have to right. Okay. If it's not a word, then you can say it's a ls. Val dot is with this. You can also tell me, instead of Python, how will you do this in C, C++, Perl, any language? Maybe most of us know C well, so you can think in that terms.
Substitution or replacement? Replacement.
You will replace, but how? I mean, this could be a very 10 words, right? Over here it's smaller. I just wrote this small so that it makes little sense.
First, break up the words with space, then store it in an array, then do this.
Okay, and then you can jump it back.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can do that. How would you do this in C? This is what you are saying in Python or Perl or like the interpreted language which is so powerful. How will you do in C language or C++ language? You know the logic for doing in C, C++?
You have to break the string and then store it into array and then start the case.
How many arrays it will be? If I have 10 words, if I have 100, I cannot do that way. It's a very simplistic logic if you have to do this in C. Microsoft question.
Sorry?
Microsoft question.
Okay.
First question.
C we can do, but this
How? A very simplistic way.
simplistic way.
Can I do something? Take my string, right? I'm doing something, see. I'll convert this. I'll say, I'll have some counters. 3 counters I'll put. You can see. I, J and K. Right? Now, I'll put my I here and keep moving my J until I get a, sorry, I'll keep moving my K until I get a space. I get a space here, can you see? Can you check this? I get a space here, I'll put my J just before that. Right? So, I is on the first, K I will move until I get a space and J will be 1 less than K. Now, this string I will reverse. What does it become? EMOSEWA. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So these I and J will also keep moving. Once it is done, I'll put my I as
Okay.
K. K plus 1, in fact. Right? I'll keep moving my K. My K will become over here. Right? Again and J again. So this way I will reverse individual words. Can I do that? Not a difficult thing. Right? Similarly, NOHT, this becomes this. True.
Yes.
Then what I have done, I have reversed individual words. Now reverse the whole string.
Also.
So I will reverse, my I will be here and J will be here, reverse the whole string. So I will start from here. Python, very simplistic. We can do in C++. Will take how many lines of code? At least 20 lines of code for sure. Java it will even take more because you need to define a class and a function as well. Right? What do you think? How many lines you can do this in Python? Maybe 2-3 lines? Let's try it. What we'll do, we'll say, we'll create a list out of it. List is equals to what? I'll split it. How do you split? There's a split function. Split it based on these spaces. If I print my list, I'll get something like this, right? Let's try it out. Correct, I get the individual words. Now, I'll say, I get the individual words, correct?
Yes, yes.
Now, on this individual word, I will give it as colon colon minus 1. I'll give as colon colon minus 1. What do you know what is colon colon minus 1?
That will be reverse.
It reverses. If I have A equals to ABC and I'll say A colon colon minus 1, it reverses. Correct? So I have reversed my string. I just need to join it back. I'll say join this back. Right? str, and you're done within a single line. Can I try this out? There are many more ways of doing this, but just a few words you are able to do this. Right? Can we try this out?